Before you give up, watch this video. Yes. If you feel pressed from all sides, pushed to the edge of giving up, don't despair. It's easy to feel isolated, but don't. Listen to the Stoics. Listen to them through me. Hi, I'm Jason, and you can trust me on this. I have learnt it the long way, the hard way. The Stoics remind us of a powerful truth. The strength you need to persevere is already within you. You just need to uncover it. But they don't say only that. They say that you get what you get, and you make what you must. They also say that in life, adversity is not the exception, it's the rule. This perspective works because it doesn't deny the challenges we face, but teaches us to confront them with courage, reason, and resilience. Because when you're about to give up, it's not the challenge itself that defeats you, it's how you respond to it. This video explores 7 timeless lessons inspired by Stoic philosophy. 7 lessons that help you stay strong when you are about to give up, when life feels unbearable. You'll discover how to embrace pain as a teacher, let go of rigid goals, and find strength in solitude. You'll learn how to reframe challenges as opportunities for growth and detach from emotions that cloud your judgment. Most importantly, you'll come to understand that adversity is temporary and that each trial you face carries the seeds of transformation. To gain maximum mindfulness from the teachings, make sure you watch the video till the end. And when you've done that, I encourage you to go to the comments section and tell me how you feel about the teachings. I read every comment, and I do that because your thoughts are important to me. And if the virtue in you appreciates this calling, help us reach others like you. You can do that by liking, subscribing, and sharing this video, especially by sharing this video. Now, let's uncover the strength you already have, the strength to keep going, no matter what. Lesson 1. Embrace pain as a teacher. Most people instinctively run from pain, believing it to be an unwelcome adversary. But what if pain isn't the enemy we think it is? What if instead it's our greatest teacher? Stoicism teaches us that pain is an inevitable part of life, not something to avoid, but something to embrace with courage and wisdom. When we view pain as a guide, it can become a powerful tool to help us stay strong, especially when we're on the verge of giving up. I learned this lesson during a particularly difficult chapter in my life. A few years ago, I was training for my first marathon, a goal I'd set to challenge myself both physically and mentally. Everything went well during the initial weeks of training, but halfway through, I developed a knee injury that made running excruciating. Each step felt like a hammer pounding my resolve, and I found myself questioning why I had taken on this challenge in the first place. One evening, after a particularly painful attempt at running, I sat down, ready to give up. My body was screaming for me to quit, and my mind was more than willing to agree. But as I sat there, I began reflecting on something I'd once read. Pain isn't there to punish you, it's there to teach you. This Stoic principle encouraged me to look at my pain not as an obstacle, but as a lesson waiting to be learned. Instead of wallowing in frustration, I decided to listen to what my pain was telling me. It taught me to slow down, to approach my training with more patience and care. It showed me the importance of persistence and adapting to challenges rather than running from them, literally and metaphorically. My recovery wasn't immediate, but by embracing the discomfort and working through it with intention, I was able to get back on track. When race day came, the pain I experienced had become my strength. Every mile I completed felt like a testament to my perseverance. Crossing the finish line wasn't just about completing the marathon. It was about understanding the resilience that pain had helped me build. Pain strips away the superficial and forces us to confront our deepest truths. Like lifting weights, where muscle fibers are torn to grow stronger, Pain breaks us down only to rebuild us into something greater. The Stoics knew this well. Like adversity, pain is inseparable from life. And like adversity, it is both an empowering and a humbling experience. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Pain, when embraced, becomes the path forward. If you wish to understand how pain, or anything for that matter, becomes the way forward, and why indeed the obstacle is the way, let me know in the comments section if you'd want me to make a video on it. There's a lot that goes into that mindset, and you won't find it unless you dive deep into Stoicism. So when you find yourself on the edge, ready to give up, lean into the discomfort. Let pain guide you, teach you, and strengthen you. It's not your enemy, it's your ally in growth. And when you embrace it, you'll find that it shapes you into a stronger, wiser version of yourself. Lesson 2. Solitude is power. In today's world, where constant connectivity is celebrated, solitude is often misunderstood. But stepping into solitude isn't about isolation or rejection. It's about finding strength in the silence. Embracing solitude is one of the most effective ways to stay strong when you're on the verge of giving up. It allows you to reconnect with your inner self, discover clarity, and reignite your purpose. As the Stoics teach, true power comes from within, and solitude provides the space to tap into that power. I remember a particularly challenging time in my life when solitude became my sanctuary. A couple of years ago, I moved to a new city because of work, but the transition was far from easy. I had no friends there, no familiar places to retreat to, and a constant sense of being an outsider. At first, I dreaded the loneliness. My evenings felt painfully empty, and in the absence of work, I caught myself desperately glued to my phone, calling family and friends when not texting them, scrolling social media when I was done checking up on them, and doing everything I could think of on the phone. Yes, always on the phone, and never off it. I was desperate for a connection. I was desperate to keep my mind busy. And as I finally learnt, I was desperate to avoid myself. I recognized the phone as being the culprit, and so I stopped using it except for the really important stuff. Now, in the evenings, I would go outside, spend my time in coffee shops and supermarkets, sometimes sightseeing, other times just sitting somewhere mindlessly. Nothing changed. I had had enough of the weeks of restlessness and disconnection. I was ready to call my superiors to request a transfer back to my hometown, to get away from the place I was sure wasn't meant for me. I was ready to give up because I couldn't find what I was looking for. What was it that I was looking for? Well, at that time, I had no idea, and it didn't come to me for another week. But I'll tell you, after all, there's no teaching without telling, right? What I was looking for was myself, again. And this, the simplest of all things yet the most elusive, never occurred to me. Now I know just the reason why it hadn't. Just like everything we experience in life, our experiences with our inner selves, that is, our interactions with ourselves, are shaped by where we are in life. Now that shouldn't be the case with the Stoic ideal, but that's almost always the case with those who haven't yet attained the Stoic ideal, which means everyone, which means me. And so, back when I was working in my hometown, my relationship with myself was mostly about steeling myself when it came to work-related issues. I never really needed to visit myself except to reflect on my virtues when dealing with other people, and that too, mostly people from work. I had everything, almost everything sorted, when it came to my family. So back then I never really sat with myself in the absolute absence of problems. This was precisely where I failed the Stoic principles. By not reflecting daily on myself despite the good flow of life. I wouldn't have had such trouble in the new city had I done that. And I'd have done even better by not assuming the problems I eventually assumed in the new city. Because when I stopped seeing the problem of disconnection, of alienation, of loneliness that I had so easily latched onto as not being a problem, I was able to sit with myself again. One day I decided to change my approach. Instead of avoiding the silence, I embraced it. I stopped trying to fill the void with distractions and leaned into solitude. I began spending evenings journaling, reflecting on my fears, and asking myself questions I had been too busy to confront. What do I truly want from this move? What's holding me back from feeling at peace? I also took long, solitary walks through the city, allowing the rhythm of my steps to quiet my restless thoughts. You know, the good stuff. The transformation was gradual but profound. In the silence, I found clarity. I realized that my discomfort wasn't rooted in the move itself, but in my own fear of change. Solitude became my teacher, showing me how to accept uncertainty and trust my ability to navigate new experiences. Over time, I built a deeper relationship with myself, one that gave me the resilience to face challenges with renewed confidence. Solitude isn't loneliness, it's a tool for growth. It's in these quiet moments that we confront our fears, reflect on our values, and realign with our goals. Without the constant noise of external validation or distractions, we discover our own strength. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere you can go is more peaceful, more free of interruptions than your own soul." Solitude offers that sacred space to reconnect with who you are. Yet I must warn you, just like someone had warned me once. Come to think of it, maybe it was this warning, or my misunderstanding of it, that had initially kept me from myself, that had kept the very idea of plunging myself into solitude to find myself. What advice, you ask? You're getting curious. And yes, there's a downside to solitude, but only for those who don't use reason. The warning I talk of is this: people who don't have a sufficiently developed reason to avoid causing harm to themselves and others should never go into solitude. Seneca says, "It is there that they devise schemes that lead to downfall, both theirs and of others." When you feel like giving up, resist the urge to run from the silence. Instead, embrace it. Solitude is a reminder that you don't need the world's approval to find your way. You already have the strength within you. Let the quiet be your guide. Lesson 3. Let go of goals. Goals can provide direction and purpose, but they can also weigh heavily, especially when they become rigid and inflexible. Sometimes, the strength to persevere comes not from holding on tighter, but from learning to let go. Letting go of goals isn't about giving up. It's about releasing unrealistic expectations and embracing the journey itself. This perspective aligns deeply with Stoic philosophy, which emphasizes focusing on what is within your control, your actions and attitudes, not the outcomes. I learned this lesson back when I used to spend months preparing for competitive exams. I had been preparing for a major career milestone, a certification exam that I believed would open doors to my dream job. I structured my life around this goal, sacrificing weekends, declining social invitations, and pouring every ounce of energy into studying. But when the day of the exam arrived, everything went wrong. A family emergency disrupted my focus, and despite my best efforts, I didn't pass. The failure hit me hard. I felt like all my effort had been wasted. The goal I'd clung to so tightly now seemed like an anchor pulling me under. For weeks, I wrestled with self-doubt, replaying every misstep and feeling like I'd lost control of my future. Then, something shifted. As I reflected, I realized that my fixation on this single outcome had blinded me to the bigger picture. The Stoic principle of detaching from results came to mind. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." My failure wasn't a reflection of my worth. It was a lesson in humility and adaptability. Remember, the obstacle is the way. Do leave a comment if you'd like to learn just what it means from a Stoic perspective. And let me take this opportunity to encourage you to like the video if you appreciate what you're listening to, subscribe to the channel to keep it coming, and share it with others to help spread the Stoic message. Now, on with the video. The failure had hit me hard, and initially I had considered all efforts wasted. But Marcus Aurelius's words proved to be a lesson in humility and adaptability. I decided to let go of the rigid timeline I had set for myself. Instead of focusing solely on the certification, I turned my attention to the skills and knowledge I'd gained along the way. I found joy in the process of learning, rather than obsessing over a single test result. Surprisingly, this shift in mindset freed me. I realized that the goal had been a tool for growth, not the sole measure of success. When I revisited the exam months later, I approached it with calm confidence rather than desperation. Passing it no longer defined me. Instead, the experience taught me resilience, self-compassion, and the value of adapting to life's uncertainties. Letting go of rigid goals doesn't mean abandoning your dreams. It means releasing the weight of perfectionism and embracing flexibility. It's about finding strength in the process and trusting that the journey, not just the destination, shapes you. When goals become burdens, stepping back can be the most liberating and empowering choice you make. Lesson 4. Seek challenges, not comfort. Society often glorifies comfort as the ultimate goal, a life free of struggle, risk, or uncertainty. But this pursuit of ease can stifle our growth and leave us unprepared for the inevitable challenges of life. True strength doesn't come from staying safe. It emerges when we face adversity head-on. Seeking challenges, not comfort, is the key to resilience, self-discovery, and personal growth. I vividly recall a time when I was tempted to retreat into comfort. I had been working in a stable but unfulfilling job for years. The thought of leaving felt terrifying. What if I failed? What if the unknown was worse than the monotony I knew? For months, I rationalized my inertia. It's better to stick with what's safe than risk everything for uncertainty. But deep down, I felt stagnant and disconnected from my potential. One day, a friend encouraged me to join them on a week-long wilderness trek, an experience that required navigating uncharted paths, surviving with minimal supplies, and enduring the elements. I hesitated. It sounded grueling and completely outside my comfort zone, but something about the challenge resonated with me, and I reluctantly agreed. That trek changed my perspective on life. The days were physically demanding, the nights freezing, and the terrain unforgiving. There were moments when I wanted to quit, when the weight of my backpack and the relentless trails felt insurmountable. But step by step, I pushed forward, discovering reserves of strength and determination I didn't know I had. Reaching the summit wasn't just a physical victory, it was a mental and emotional awakening. The experience taught me that challenges, no matter how daunting, reveal who we truly are. Each obstacle we overcome builds resilience, sharpens our focus, and deepens our understanding of what we're capable of achieving. Comfort, by contrast, keeps us stagnant. It shields us from discomfort, but it also denies us the opportunity to grow. Stoicism echoes this truth. As like we've already heard Marcus Aurelius say, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Challenges aren't barriers. They're pathways to strength and wisdom. When we deliberately choose the harder road, We prepare ourselves to handle life's unpredictable storms with grace and fortitude. After that trek, I took the leap I'd been avoiding. I left my job to pursue work that aligned with my passions. It wasn't easy. There were setbacks and uncertainties, but I found fulfillment in the process, not just the outcome. The resilience I'd built from seeking challenges guided me through every twist and turn. Life's greatest rewards lie on the other side of the struggle. Choosing challenges over comfort isn't about seeking hardship for its own sake. It's about embracing discomfort as a tool for growth. When faced with a choice, think clearly and rationally, and with reason on your side, step into the unknown if that's what virtue calls for. It's in the trials of life that your true potential is forged. Lesson 5. Control your emotions. Emotions are an integral part of being human, but when they dictate our actions, they can cloud our judgment and erode our strength. Regulating and controlling emotions doesn't mean ignoring them or suppressing how we feel. It means embracing them with clarity and channeling them in ways that empower rather than weaken us. Stoicism offers a profound framework for mastering our emotions, teaching that strength lies not in denying what we feel, but in choosing how we respond. I once faced a moment that tested my emotional resilience. A significant project I had been working on for months unexpectedly fell apart due to circumstances beyond my control. The initial wave of anger and frustration was overwhelming. I wanted to lash out at those involved, retreat into self-pity, or simply walk away from the situation entirely. It felt like a personal failure, even though the setback wasn't entirely my fault. But then I remembered the Stoic principle of emotional regulation. You may not control events, but you always control your reaction. Not only that, but on top of realizing this fact, I revisited other teachings that I had so deeply internalized. Do you know which ones? Well, the ones we've already discussed. After all, I discussed them for a reason. And so instead of reacting impulsively, I took a break from work. I sat with myself in solitude. Essentially, I had paused myself and done so knowingly. Then, I let myself feel the pain. I let myself feel the emotions without acting on them. I acknowledged my anger and disappointment, but I didn't let them define my response to them. Instead, I thought about my goals and assessed how important a role they played in my life. I questioned the purpose they served, and if that purpose was anything other than being a tool for my growth. I asked myself, if this is a challenge, then am I not ready for it? Why must I crave the comfort of disappointment? I told myself, I will fix and rebuild what's within my control to fix or rebuild. This practice of detachment allowed me to regain my focus. I re-evaluated the situation and sought feedback from colleagues to learn from the experience. Though the setback was painful, it became an opportunity for growth. By controlling my emotions, I stayed resilient and emerged stronger, not just in that moment, but as a person. Emotional mastery requires mindfulness. It starts with recognizing your emotional triggers. When you feel a surge of anger, fear, or sadness, pause and ask, why am I feeling this? Is my reaction helping or hindering me? This reflection creates a gap between emotion and action, giving you the space to respond rationally rather than react impulsively. The Stoics also practiced reframing, a powerful tool to change perspective. When faced with adversity, instead of seeing it as a failure, ask, what can I learn from this? How can I grow through this challenge? This shift transforms obstacles into stepping stones. History is filled with examples of those who practiced emotional regulation to achieve greatness. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, endured wars and personal loss while maintaining clarity and composure. His resilience came not from suppressing emotions, but from mastering them. When you regulate your emotions, you stay anchored in the face of life's storms. You remain calm, resilient, and focused. It's not about being unfeeling, it's about being unshaken. In mastering your emotions, you master yourself, finding strength to rise even when the world tries to pull you down. Lesson 6. Be your own advocate. Being your own advocate is one of the most empowering ways to stay strong when you feel like giving up. It's about taking responsibility for your worth, your boundaries, and your goals, especially when no one else is doing it for you. Self-advocacy isn't about being confrontational or demanding. It's about valuing yourself enough to ensure that your needs, efforts, and contributions are acknowledged and respected. Right? Wrong? Sure, be your own advocate if you must, but never at the cost of values, never at the cost of principles you live by. Yes, values, not value. And do you know why that becomes precisely the case when it comes to not giving up? Because the decision of not giving up should, if it ever comes to that, never hinge on whether or not you're valued by others. It should instead solely be driven by the knowledge that you're acting according to your values. Because when you don't have your values, you can never have everything. This is when things such as your worth, your goals, your needs come into the picture, become all important, and establish a direct line to what other people think of you. Let me demonstrate this with an experience from my life. Once I was part of a team working tirelessly on a high-profile project. I poured my heart into the work, long hours, innovative ideas, and consistent results. When the project succeeded, I was proud, but during a company-wide meeting to celebrate the team's accomplishments, my name wasn't even mentioned. They do that, don't they? The credit for much of my work was given to others. Happens often enough, isn't it? At first, I wanted to give up, resign, go work someplace else. It's an impulsive feeling, really, one that passes almost immediately if you've seen enough. No place is different, nowhere is fine. You get what you get and you make what you must. So I told myself to let it go. Jason, don't make waves, I thought, and it worked. Fortunately, by then, I was firmly on the Stoic path, and as a result, comfortable in both success and failure, justice and injustice. What mattered to me wasn't recognition or what others understood as someone's value, but that I went about my business without causing conflict. But what I had overlooked in trying to not cause conflict was the fact that what happened to me could happen to someone else. I had overlooked injustice. Not everybody is stoic enough to find strength, peace, and satisfaction in their values. It wasn't about the recognition. It was about the message that had happened to me sent, both to myself and others. It was about justice, for me, yes, but especially for others. I realized what happened to me could set a precedent for others being treated the same. That's when I decided to advocate for everyone. I scheduled a meeting with my manager and calmly but assertively outlined my contributions. I didn't frame it as a complaint, but as a clarification of my role in the project's success. I presented evidence of my work, emails, reports, and specific outcomes, and explained how I had contributed to the project's success. Then, I moved on to the most important part. I told my manager how I really felt about the situation and why I had thought it was important that I talk to him personally. I told him if hard work goes unnoticed, especially when people pour their heart and soul into work as they had in our project, it could demotivate them gravely. I didn't take names, but I did tell him we had people in our project who had, at some point or another, felt underappreciated. Tomorrow, I said, It could be someone else in my place, and we'd be trading the future project's success for something as simple as appreciating who deserves appreciation. The result? My manager apologized for the oversight, commended my initiative, and ensured my contributions were highlighted in future discussions. "Don't do it for me," I told him. Now it doesn't matter if he did it for me, because it benefited the hive. That moment was transformative. Acting your values always is. It gives you not just twofold, but threefold. The best part? Live by your values, and soon enough, you'll forget the many folds. So, you see, I didn't give up not because I advocated for myself, but because I advocated for values. Yes, that's what it truly means to advocate for yourself. Lesson 7. Your challenges are temporary. When adversity strikes, it can feel like the walls are closing in, leaving no room to breathe or hope. Yet, one of the most profound truths in life is that challenges are temporary. No matter how overwhelming a situation feels in the moment, it will eventually pass. Understanding this and recognizing that adversity itself is a permanent part of life is a powerful way to stay strong when you feel like giving up. The Stoics taught that suffering, like joy, is fleeting. By understanding the impermanence of hardship, you can face it with calm and resilience, knowing it will not last forever. I recall a particularly challenging year when everything seemed to unravel at once. My small business was struggling financially, and at the same time, my father was hospitalized with a serious illness. Balancing the demands of work and family felt impossible. Every day brought new worries, new problems, and no visible end in sight. There were moments when the weight of it all made me feel like giving up entirely. One evening, exhausted and overwhelmed, I went for a walk to clear my head. I found myself sitting on a park bench, watching the sun dip below the horizon. As the colors faded into darkness, I was struck by how inevitable yet temporary the night was. It reminded me of something my father once told me: "No storm lasts forever." That moment of reflection sparked a shift in my perspective. The challenges I faced weren't permanent fixtures, they were just part of life's natural ebb and flow. I started to focus not on the enormity of my problems, but on what I could do each day to navigate them. I broke tasks into smaller, manageable steps. I prioritized time with my father, recognizing that his health was beyond my control, but my presence and support were not. Slowly, things began to shift. My business stabilized, my father recovered, and I emerged from that period not just intact, but more resilient than before. Challenges are temporary, but adversity is a constant in life. By accepting this, you free yourself from the despair of feeling stuck. Instead of resisting hardship, you can meet it with patience and resolve, knowing it is part of the human experience. When you embrace adversity as an inseparable aspect of life, you grow stronger. You learn to weather storms, appreciating the calm that follows. Each trial becomes a stepping stone, revealing your inner strength and helping you move forward with wisdom and grace. Always remember, no matter how dark the moment, the light will return. You are capable of enduring far more than you imagine, and this too shall pass. As we come to the end of this journey through Stoic wisdom, let's take a moment to reflect. Life's challenges, no matter how overwhelming they seem, are not insurmountable. They are opportunities to grow stronger, to deepen your understanding of yourself, and to align your actions with your values. We've explored 7 lessons that can serve as your guide when you're on the brink of giving up. From embracing pain as a teacher to finding clarity in solitude. From letting go of rigid goals to seeking challenges that sharpen your resilience. These principles are more than just ideas. They are practices, tools that can transform the way you navigate life's difficulties. Remember, the Stoics didn't promise a life without hardship. They understood that adversity is a constant, but so is your ability to endure and overcome. Each obstacle you face is not just a test, but a path forward. When you feel like giving up, revisit these lessons. Let them remind you that the strength you need has always been within you. Lean into the discomfort, embrace the process, and trust in your ability to rise above the storm. Because no matter how dark it gets, the light will always return. If you found value in these lessons, let us know in the comments which one resonated with you the most. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more insights, and share it with someone who might need a reminder of their own strength. Together, let's keep exploring the wisdom that helps us stay strong, no matter what life throws our way. Thank you for watching, and remember, this too shall pass, and you are far stronger than you imagine. See you in the next one.